Hello, this is Harvey, and I'd like to bring you a story today. This is for children. This weekend is Mother's Day weekend, and what a wonderful thing to remember is our wonderful mothers. My mother, when I think of her, just a flood of memories come to me. The earliest memory I have of my mother was rocking me and singing a special little song. Well, it's called "Oh, Where Are You Going, Pretty Bird?" And she would rock and hum, and I would be so comforted just by that early memory. I remember her sewing. She loved to sew when I was a little older, preschool. I'd sit underneath a sewing machine with a little pair of scissors, and as the little squares of material when she'd make a quilt would come down over, they'd all be tied together with a little thread. Sunshine would be shining through the window, and I'd be sitting down there on the floor, and I'd clip the little threads and stack those squares out. So fun, just watching it like little flags from a sailboat, the signal flags coming down. One thing my mother loved to do is tell stories. We had such wonderful stories, and I'd like to share one of her stories. I'm sorry, I'm holding this thing in my hands and it's shaking a little bit, so I'll try and be a little bit better there. Well, when my mother was very young, she was up in Alaska. That's where she was born and raised, and there was lots of snow in the wintertime. Well, I'll tell you a story actually that she told about her mother. So, this is my mom's mom, who's somebody that prayed a lot. She was very close to God. Well, one thing they had to do up there is they did fishing and hunting and trapping. That was the way they earned their money. So, a trapping experience goes like this. Well, they have to catch animals, and in order to do that, they put traps out. And so it's kind of a brutal business, but that's the way they had to earn their living. But they had a trap line that went way out away from the house. In the wintertime, they would have to go too far to get back in the same day. So my grandpa, my mom's daddy, built a cabin way out and far away up the trap line. Well, he and his wife, my grandpa and grandma, when they were pretty young still, well, they took off. They checked the trap line, and when they got to that cabin, my grandpa left grandma in there in the cabin as he went on farther up, away from away to do more trapping. My grandma was sitting there in an early morning, and she would always often she would read her Bible. Well, as she was sitting there reading the Bible, she thought she heard a voice that said, "Move. You need to move. You need to go to the other side of the cabin." And she thought, that is the weirdest thing. And then she was just sitting there and she was praying and she was just studying the Bible. And that voice was a little more insistent in her ear, said, "You need to move." And so for some, she didn't understand it, but she got up and she moved over to the other side of that little cabin. And the roof collapsed. Big logs broke through. The snow on top was so heavy that it broke the roof and it would have killed my grandmother. But she was protected by God's voice. And you know, it's interesting, Mother's Day. Mothers do the same type of thing for us. They protect us, they help us so closely. And it's a picture of how God is with us. He's so kind and He's so sweet and He's so good. And He takes care of us in such a close, dear way, just like our mothers take care of us. And that's the story for today. And so you can go back and sit with your parents. And how about we have another story next week? Have a good day.